So here's a question for you. Can an artist be two completely different things at the exact same time? Can they be a voice for the working person and also a mouthpiece for a violent cartel? That's the puzzle we're trying to piece together today as we get into the really complex world of El Makabelico, an artist right at the center of a pretty dangerous and honestly fascinating contradiction.
And the sources on this? They do not pull any punches. One accusation is just incredibly direct. It flat out says El Makabelico is a terrorist involved with the Cartel Del Noreste. I mean, that's a shocking, really severe claim to make against anyone, let alone a popular musician. So, how do you square that circle? How do those two things exist in the same person? Well, to even begin to understand the man, you have to understand his most popular song, and it's a track that tells a story that feels like it's a million miles away from the world of cartels.
All right, so let's break down his biggest hit, El Maestro, which can mean the teacher or maybe more like the foreman. This song paints a super vivid picture, and it's a picture that, on the surface, has nothing to do with cartel life.
Right from the jump, the song lays it all out there. The main theme is just pure survival. It's this raw, honest look at what it's like for an immigrant, where the whole idea of good money and bad money kind of gets blurry when you just need to get by. But El Maestro is so much more than just a song about working hard. It's really this rich story of the immigrant experience. It weaves together all these different threads: family, sacrifice, the bonds you have with your coworkers, and even loss. It's a story about a shared struggle, for sure, but also about shared humanity.
And this line is a perfect example of that humanity he's talking about. The narrator, he sees this popsicle seller who just looks exhausted, and that reminds him of his own grandmother. So he gives the guy $20. It's this small, really powerful moment of connection that comes from seeing your own struggle in someone else.
And if there was any doubt about who this song is for, the dedication makes it crystal clear. He says it's for all those who left their land to go bust their ass. It's an anthem. So, you hear that, this heartfelt tribute, and then you have to ask, how do we get from this all the way back to that first shocking accusation?
Okay, so if El Maestro is this anthem for the working class, where in the world does the cartel connection come from? To answer that, we kind of have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. There's this phenomenon that's often called narcoculture. And what is that? Well, it's when popular culture, especially music, starts to glorify the whole drug trafficker lifestyle. It celebrates the violence, the loyalty to the criminal organization, even the trafficking of deadly drugs like fentanyl.
And this is exactly where the two sides of El Makabelico collide. Sources allege he's not just an artist reflecting a culture, but an actual player in the Cartel Del Noreste's operations. The claim is that he uses his music as a way to launder their money. He's even been officially sanctioned by the US government. Now, what does that actually mean? It's a huge deal. It's usually the Treasury Department, and they basically freeze an individual's assets and make it illegal for any US entity to do business with them. It's a major, major financial blow.
To really get how this narco-culture went mainstream, you have to understand how this specific type of Mexican folk music, the corrido, has evolved. I mean, just look at the difference here. Traditional corridos, they were like the news ballads of their day. They told stories about revolutionaries, folk heroes, people fighting for justice. The sound was often pretty raw, acoustic, regional. But then, look at the shift to the modern narco-corrido. The focus totally flips. It becomes all about glorifying traffickers and the brutal realities of their lives. The themes aren't about rebellion anymore. They're about luxury, violence, even specific things like fentanyl trafficking. And the sound? It's way more polished, more urban, and it's designed to appeal to a mainstream audience. It's a wild transformation from folk art to what some would call a powerful tool for propaganda. And we're not just talking about controversial lyrics or artistic freedom here. This connection between the music industry and the cartels, it has led to some very, very real-world consequences.
Yeah, that line between art and crime has become dangerously blurry, legally speaking. So you have artists like El Makabelico facing those government sanctions we talked about, which cuts them off from the legitimate financial world. So how does money laundering through music even work? Well, it can be as simple as a cartel-backed promoter booking a sanctioned artist for a concert. They pay them a hugely inflated fee with illicit cash, and then that dirty money enters the music industry's books as clean revenue. And this has had real consequences. Music executives in the US have actually been sent to prison for knowingly doing business with these sanctioned individuals. So this isn't just about music anymore. It's about a multi-billion-dollar criminal enterprise.
So all of this, it just leaves us with this fundamental problem when we look at an artist like El Makabelico. How can one person produce a workers' anthem and also, allegedly, music that glorifies a violent criminal group?
Which brings us to our final question. Is this kind of art just a mirror? Is it simply reflecting a difficult and often violent reality that a lot of people are actually living in? Or does it cross a line and become a message, one that actively promotes and glorifies that very violence? You know, there really isn't an easy answer here. And that question, that tension, it sits right at the heart of the duality of El Makabelico.